Hello and welcome to my week. It's time for another Roundup. On the Small Business Big Network podcast this week, you can hear Tracy Earl of We Are in Business talking about the business support network she's built along with her husband and how that has changed and grown thanks to the pandemic. I started the week with a webinar put on by the FSB, which was about perfecting your LinkedIn posting. This session was run by Jonathan Pollinger, who had some great hints and tips to share. For example, how about asking people to respond to your post with a picture? Or use other platforms such as Facebook and Twitter to search for hot news topics and then post about them on LinkedIn, especially if this is relevant to your industry and your audience. Sometimes you really don't know where your next job will come from. At the weekend, my husband and I were looking at wood burners at Elite Stoves in Barton. One of the owners, Chapman, came out to measure up on Tuesday, and when he found out what I do, he asked if I could record the messages for their phone system. I shall be doing that later today. On Wednesday, I had some PowerPoint training from James Jimbo Wilmshurst of Be Presentable. James describes himself as the greatest PowerPoint showman, and I can highly recommend a session with him. The 2 hours flew past and I learned a lot about PowerPoint. It does so much more than I'd been using it for. After the session, I created my own GIF using PowerPoint, which I posted on social media. If you're someone who gives a lot of presentations and you're worried about causing death by PowerPoint, get yourself booked in with James. He will ensure you keep your audience engaged. I went along to the consulting room lunch with David O'Brien and Michael Hardy on Wednesday. This week we were talking about the customer journey. I have a broad range of customers in my business, from production companies that are used to hiring voiceover artists to individuals who have never hired a voiceover before and need a lot of hand-holding through the process. So therefore there's more than one customer journey and they each need different information. It was an interesting discussion and, as usual, we ran out of time. Yesterday I attended the Talk Networking Big Pitch meeting run by Felicity Francis. There were 70 people in the room this time and everyone had 45 seconds to say who they were and what they do. The number of testimonials passed and one-to-ones arranged in that meeting is always phenomenal. I lost count of how many people gave me testimonials and I have 8 leads to follow up for one-to-ones. Tomorrow I should be up early to go to Durham with my son and Barton Community Band for a band contest. He'll be playing and I'll be watching. It's the first time we've been to a contest, so I'm not quite sure what to expect, apart from the fact I will hear numerous bands play the same piece of music. I have deliberately made a point of not hearing the piece in advance. That's all for this week. Join me again next Friday for another Roundup.